Welcome back from that break. It is still Global Television, and of course on Global Morning today, we've had so much going down. The politics is so hot right now as we speak. And as a matter of fact, you can't say, beginning from River State to other parts of the country, is so much happening. The interference of the judiciary in electoral matters has been it's a thing of worry because some Nigerians are saying, when will the people start getting the dividends of democracy when they don't even get into office on time? Probably because the case is in court, or maybe a court verdict, judgment that is not going down with the people. And this brings unrest and it hampers our governance. Today we want to look at judicial intervention and its implication for effective governance. Judicial intervention. Sometimes the judiciary will have no choice than to intervene, especially when matters get to their table. They'll follow it logically, following the constitution to make sure they get things right. And that has affected governance in different ways. Joining me on the conversation today is a legal practitioner and of course a human rights activist. He also a notary public. I have Barrister Alex Ogbo right here this morning. It's good to have you join us on the conversation this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here, especially an issue of this nature.
Yes, because it's becoming worrisome. Nigerians keep asking questions every day because after 2023 election, we had the slogan, "You can go to court." The judiciary has played more roles in bringing people into public offices, especially politicians, than the electorates themselves. I'm just wondering which state in Nigeria that we've not had the issue of taking an electoral matter to court, either from the local government council, even from the councillors, down to the presidency. So as it is right now, judicial interventions and its implication for effective governance. Let's begin from the intervention of the judiciary in electoral matters. What's your take about it?
You know, actually, the judiciary, first of all, is very important to the society, playing the role it plays in interplay of human relationships, experience conflicts, crises, and so on and so forth. And there's always need for a place where these things should be looked into dispassionately. And that's the role that the judiciary plays. That's the role that the office and the position the judiciary occupies in the rank of leadership in the society. And as long as human beings have misunderstandings, the judiciary will have a job to do. But our worry is to what extent should judicial interventions come in? For instance, the Supreme Court is a court of justice, a court of law, is also a court of public opinion, and it always puts into consideration issues that may hamper progress and peace of the society. That's why in Nigeria, you find out that there have never been any presidential election that the Supreme Court upturned. You see, that is basically on issue of public opinion. You don't want to upturn the apple carts and cause a crisis and all, because in the reasons of it, nobody can say that all presidential elections were in order. No, they were not. But the Supreme Court has been careful to avoid going to, upturn that public opinion and the issues of law as well. Now, but there are other aspects, and I want to draw our attention to what happened in the 80s from the judgments coming from the Supreme Court, to compare it with what is going on now, is good to make that comparative analysis. In the 80s and even during the military, the Supreme Court was indeed a strong force to reckon with for the good of this country. We saw judicial interventions that put the excesses of the executive and the dictatorships of the military to check. We can remember the case of Ojukwu and Lagos State government, or Lagos State against Ojukwu, all right, where you see the Supreme Court bringing up the issue of executive recklessness, that the executive should not be allowed to do things anyhow. They should follow processes and procedures, unlike what they did in throwing Ojukwu into the street, whereas he was the rightful owner and occupier of what he had. The Supreme Court came to the rescue, and that helped to douse tension all over the country over the years. It helped to solve a lot of things. There are so many. The Supreme Court also, there are this case of Ukeje and Ukeje, especially in the southeast and some other parts of this country, where by custom women are now allowed to inherit property. But in Ukeje's case, the Supreme Court insisted a female is a child and has rights in the Constitution to own property. That has solved a lot. Osuke's system. All right? The court has come out vehemently to reject that kind of practice. These are things that heal the society. We know the case of Amechi, of Rivers State. It was the Supreme Court that came to the rescue because of what happened unjustly. But certain recent decisions compared to some of these makes one to really think that honestly there's need for the present crop to sit up. There's need. We can't allow the society to just degenerate. To the extent that some people now are saying that Nigeria need a court higher than Supreme Court. Because certain decisions the Supreme Court has taken has made a mess of the respect that Supreme Court in Nigeria used to have. So that we need a court higher than the Supreme Court to look into most of these things that are done that are causing unnecessary conflict, unlike what we used to know the Supreme Court for.
All right, let me take you, because we're talking about governance here, the implication of judicial interventions in governance. And let's get to Rivers State a little bit, the Fubara case and the State Assembly. As it is right now, budget needs to be resubmitted based on the judgment from the Supreme Court. But then, there are some people who are disgruntled. There are some people who are not satisfied. I'm actually bringing this in now because you talked about the fact that the Supreme Court is a court of public opinion.
Yes.
Now, there have been a lot going on in Rivers State after that judgment. The youths are rising. There is a lot of triggers, a lot of threats coming from the youths. If this is not done, this will be done. And there was a time that they even advised people who are not from Rivers State to vacate Rivers State and all of that. What can you say about what is happening in Rivers State in connection with the Supreme Court judgment as a legal practitioner now?
Yes. It is even the case of that Rivers that made those who are saying that we need a court higher than the Supreme Court to be put in place in this country. It's even the case of that Rivers with some others. Like what happened in the case of what was the man, the former deputy speaker of the Federal House of Reps in Imo State, what threw Heria out and brought Izodima in. That is a decision that this country will keep suffering the damaging effect of that kind of judgment of the Supreme Court. And then in this case of Rivers State, like I compared, in the 80s and so on, decisions of the Supreme Court had balancing effect in the years gone by. Balancing effect, dousing tensions. Unlike now, Because what you are noticing now is a decision that suggests that the Supreme Court, like some people say, is conquered by the executive. And those who are close to power can manipulate things. Some decisions currently go towards that. And it's most unhealthy. It's most unhealthy. The Supreme Court should be impartial, it should be neutral, it should be corrective, and should be able to create stability, serious stability in the system. So these are the things that this experience of Rivers State is bringing up. You know, we need radical reorientation in what happens in the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court. Radical reorientation. We need that. The Rivers State crisis, we don't know how it will end. We don't know how it will end. But it is most unfortunate. Let me say, you see, when this Wike was going on Rivers State, he chased Amaechi out of that state. His predecessor, he chased him out, and people even supported Wike, were talking of abuses that Amaechi did and all that. But when he finished his 8 years tenure, Wike is now doing what is unprintable, unheard of. You have finished your 8 years tenure. The next governor, you will not allow him to breathe, whereas your eye could not sit on your predecessor when you were governor, and you're a minister of the Federal Republic, and you want to be governor of your state all at the same time. It's more shameful. The future will not be kind with him at all. I'm talking about this Wike.
But as it is right now, the judgment so far it's not all about Wilson Wike right now. The judgment is coming from the Supreme Court. Everything that is happening there now, even though in a recent broadcast he has made some statements, he has said some things even on the papers. He has said some things about Fubara and all of that. But as it is right now, I think we are more concerned about the people and not even the individual, as the case may be, because the people need good governance. So what do you think is proper? I think there is another date set for the summation of the budget right now, and the first one, we don't know what happened. A lot of drama ensue. Fubara is trying to tread a path right now. All right. As at yesterday, not just yesterday, I saw a video where Asari was making some statements directly to the Minister of FCT. Yeah. A lot of people are looking at the Minister of FCT, but this judgment is coming from the court right now. So let's forget about the Minister of FCT now and talk about what needs to be done to get these things, this mistake corrected, because of the people, because of governance, because of the dividends of democracy.
Yeah, why people are talking about the Minister of FCT is the author and finisher of the crisis in Rivers State now, including the Supreme Court issue. He's the author, he's the finisher. That is that. There's nothing, you can't compromise it. Wike is the author and finisher of Rivers State crisis, including what happened at the Supreme Court. He's the author and finisher. But be that as it may, the way the elders in Rivers State have been standing with the governor, President Fubara, and the youths, they need to stand strong and firm, because it's the soul of Rivers State that is at stake. It's the soul of Rivers State, not the selfishness and greed, unbridled greed of an individual. The soul of Rivers State that will outlive Wike and every other person. So the elders, the youth should stand firm and fight for the soul of the state. Yes. You see, those who generated this conflict must pay dearly for it. That is the truth. There will definitely be crisis in Rivers State, but the dimension is what we are praying should be curtailed. Because that judgment has thrown rivers into an unbridled confusion.
We heard there was a protest by some persons a few days ago.
There was, and there'll be more of that will still come. But the bottom line of it is that as the elders have been standing behind their present governor, the youths should do the same and stand strictly firm to that. Once that is done, there are many ways they can checkmate the excesses of these hawks on issues of power and issues of public patrimony of River State. The people own the state, not an individual. And this is the time that the owners of the state should rise up. This is the time, more than any other. This is the time. And that's the best way you can rescue such a situation. You see, individuals should not be allowed to have their way again in this country. Like, there's always this request, we need strong institutions, not strong individuals. Yes, countries where people are running to, include all the politicians, they run to countries where there are strong institutions. All of them are going there. Medical tourism, for the holiday, for their studies, their family, everything. Countries where there are strong institutions. But they come here and insist on imposing on us strong individuals who their selfish greed will destroy the whole society. It should not be allowed to hold sway.
All right, it should not be allowed to hold sway because it's all about the people. We're going on a quick break. When we return from this break, we'll look at interventions of the judiciary in matters of governance and its impact, not in Rivers State this time, but in other parts of Nigeria. We are giving it a holistic approach, and that will be after this break. Welcome back from that break. Still the discussion on the way. Judicial interventions in the matter of governance. After 2023, the slogan, "You can go to court," came to stay. And we've had that severally. Now let's go to, look at it generally now. What would you have to say about taking electoral matters to court? Because we're practicing democracy, and democracy, they said, is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Because some Nigerians are feeling like the issue of going to court is making their power weak, because they feel, well, we've voted for who we want, but at the end of the day, the court decides who wins the election based on evidences. Does this have any impact on governance?
Matter of taking the electoral matters to court will still continue in the near future in Nigeria, because in politics, Nigerians are too manipulative. Vote buying, all right? Vote buying, manipulation of the electoral body, and so on and so forth. There's no fairness in the electoral system in Nigeria presently. There's no fairness. There's no fairness. From my knowledge, there's no fairness. And not to talk about the politicians that behave like mad horses. There's no fairness. And as long as this milieu of madness exists in electoral matters, cases will still go to court. But the court can wake up and help to stem the tide of how the country is drifting by calling a spade, by really standing by its oath of office, dispensing justice without fear of favor, without ill will, no matter whose ox is God. And when such is done, the society will see it. It is visible. You know, substantial justice is tangible. You can feel it. When there's error in judgment, you know it. So the judiciary can come to the rescue of the country. But for elections, Nigerians are too rugged and too rough in what they do. And because of that, cases will keep going to court. In fact, if you phase out the courts, the country will burn. It's just like with the deficiency of the Nigerian police. But you see, if you close down all police stations for one day, people will run out of this country. You know, issues will always arise, but there should be an unbiased umpire. People should run to be able to calm fear down. The judicial is very important because it's a standby measure where agreed people will go when tempers are calmed down to ventilate their views and seek proper justice. If there is no such thing, there's what we call pantry justice, where everybody will descend on anybody, wherever you are stronger than you, descend on and kill. And that will be the worst. All right? So judicial is extremely important. But Nigerian judiciary should develop the necessary nerves. I was reading a story about when Justice Udoma was a judge of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. His judgments were being used in Oxford, in Cambridge, to train lawyers because of the insightful nature, the balanced nature. They study his judgments so critically. And judges of those natures, like what we and all. But you can't boast of the ones we have here now with what is going on. That is the truth. Because then, you know, can't they show? All those kind of people, you know, they are human beings. And these are people that made up their mind that society must go well. We need that kind of orientation of people at the bench. There are people like that. There are people like that. But it appears that a good number now are on a side what we don't know how to describe. So there's no way, you can't keep the judiciary away from electoral matters because the conduct of Nigerian towards the election is too rude, is too crude, is too awkward. All right? If Nigerians today start having regard for decency, you can vote with your phone at the comfort of your home. But if you try here, they will not allow that your ballot to count. They will not record it. Look at what happens in the US, where people will vote ahead of time. They go to post offices and throw in their own. If you throw in any vote in the post office here in Nigeria, it will bounce. Yes, it will not be recorded. No, that's the truth. Presently, it will not be recorded. Vote at home. They will look at what happened in 2023. You know, 25th February. Where a presidential election held the same day, that of Senate, that of House of Reps held the same day, and this Senate House of Reps were uploaded, and when it came to presidential, I thought it was glitch. It's a shame. So it's because of that our electoral body for now is not trustworthy. So cases must go to court. Politicians are not ready to comport themselves. Cases must go to court. When we get to such a time where we stop all this issue of stealing votes and all right, then cases in court will reduce. Because when you lose, you'll be confident that you try your best, but your best appear not to be good enough for the moment. You wait for the next. But when you know that you won and you are shortchanged with insult on it, instead of going to burn somebody's house or kill somebody, you have to go to court. So, but the court has to wake up. This is the time judiciary should indeed assert herself on what judicial means in a democracy. This is the time.
All right. In all of this, do the public, the people who are being governed, do they have any role to play at all?
They have a role to play, only that the sad aspect is the level of gullibility among the governed. Because somebody comes to give you 5,000 naira, 10,000, and you tell me you value that amount, to collect it and vote for the person. So after that, what else can you offer? How can you stand to object when you have been bought over? It's not everybody that is bought over anyway. So what the populace have to do, those who stand on their worth, is to keep raising objections, raising peaceful protests, using all avenues of the media, okay, and so on and so forth, the organizations, the NGOs, to press, to insist. It is these collective fights that help. In fact, things have even a bit improved now, because of the activities of the non-governmental agencies, all right, the press have been so useful and helpful in this country.
They set up them,
yes,
society organizations,
yes,
too.
So all these put together need to increase the tempo. That's the best, because one thing politicians is that they hate being exposed. They love doing things like secret societies. They hate being exposed. But the more they're exposed, the better the society gets. That's actually what needs to be done. Those who are sitting to vote buying should bury their heads in shame, because they should know that whatever they think they are gaining, they are destroying the society worse than anything. What is 10,000? Even if somebody give you ₦1 million, to what extent will he go after casting that ballot? You don't need to take money from somebody to vote for who you want. Vote according to your conscience. That's why people still keep referring to June 12th election in this country. We all lined up and voted. And the worst atrocity were committed by IBB and his military junta.
But IBB in his book said it was Abacha that did it.
That's arrant nonsense. If it was Abacha that forget about all those.
That's bygone. That's by the way. Are you thinking we're talking about though you've said it, that as far as elections in Nigeria is concerned, the interference of the judiciary, not interference per se, but then cases must go to court. Now, there is a lot of speculations in the air concerning 2027. What are you thinking about 2027? Because a lot of people are saying the judiciary is no longer the hope of the last hope of the common man. Like you have already said, as a legal practitioner, you've already said there are things that needs to be corrected, yes, and there should be a proper separation between the legislature and the executive. Now, what are you thinking about 2027?
The 2027 election, I will be frank with you, I'm not expecting a departure from what happened in 2023. We need a healthy and sound INEC. We don't have it now. And that same INEC will spearhead 2027. I'm not expecting any departure, personally. It's not pessimism at all. We're talking of facts. We're not expecting any departure. We don't have an INEC that will give us credible election in 2027.
But you remember, INEC made a statement when people, a lot of Nigerians, I've heard from a lot of Nigerians of the fact that they don't believe in INEC. INEC said something after the Edo off-cycle election that they've learned their lessons. And of course, there are some monies being expected to do certain things. Where is really the problem? Because most of the times we have glitches, and majority of it is electronic, which can happen anytime because it's technical. So INEC haven't said that they've learned their lesson. Don't you think Nigerians need to believe in INEC some more?
You see, saying they learned their lessons, they made that comment after Anambra election, they made it after Ondo election, they made it after Osun, and then, after Edo. How many lessons do you learn? One beating, twice shy. How many lessons do you learn? All right? And all those kind. Look, even that June 12th election of 1993, military regime. But we had Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who was in charge of INEC. Under the jabut and threats of force of the military, a man stood by principle. That is what we need. When you have such a man, there's nothing like glitches. Absolutely nothing like glitches. Glitches is a wicked satanic language of a cheat, a dupe, an arm robber. To use such insulting language that will harm him for life. When you have an honest umpire ahead of an organization like INEC, there's nothing like glitches. Humphrey Nwosu did not allow any glitches whatsoever. All right? Senator Zeribe was used by ABN, you know, all those manipulations, but Humphrey Nwosu stood against it until IBB decided to do whatever rubbish he wanted to do. But he stood his ground. That's the kind of human being we need. Not a person who has sold his soul to Satan and to stupid, senseless money. So there's something like glitches. There's nothing like that. In the home, if you have an organized father, things go well. You have an organized mother, who is, you know, who are the DGs of the home, Director General, they do things properly. There will be no issue of maltreating the house helps under her watch, and so on and so forth. There will be nothing because they don't create the room for it. So there's nothing like glitches. It wasn't there till 5th February 2023. There was not like glitches. It will not be there in 2027. There's nothing like glitches. We need a fair-minded, posterity-conscious umpire ahead of INEC. Then all this nonsense.
All right. I think we'll be rounding up right now because of our time. This is going to be the last question that I'm going to be asking you right now. On a final note, now, we're talking about judiciary. What role do you think the NBC can play, all right, in sensitizing the judicial system?
I don't know, the NBA.
NBA, I beg your pardon, not NBC. NBC is National Broadcasting Corporation. I'm talking about Nigerian Bar Association. That's NBA.
Nigerian Bar Association have been trying, but you know, Nigerian Bar Association is to the judges what the press is to the society. NBA creates awareness, you know, creates awareness, urges for things to be done. But the judge is the person who is looking at the facts and figures brought before him or her. You know, NBA cannot discipline a judge. It's the Nigerian Judicial Council, NJC, that disciplines judges. Okay? So, but NBA creates the awareness and can do more. The NBA have been harping on this thing, have been raising issues and so on and so forth. But the person or the persons that the onus is on to dispense are the ones that the attention, they need to really wake up to their responsibility. There are judges who are doing well, and people know. You know, we need, for instance, when Igini was he a resident commissioner of INEC or national, something like that? Is that resident? Yes, in Akwa Ibom, an officer of INEC. All right? You see the kind of things he did. A man who has conscience. You know, we need that across board among the bench. Okay? So we create the awareness, we do everything we need to do, but the buck stops at the table of those who sit to look at these things. Okay. But one thing is that posterity is uncompromisable. All right. Yes.
One very important thing is the fact that there is always tomorrow. Whatever we do, we should make sure governance is very important. And